Hello, and welcome to this session of Philadelphia by Night. It is a .5 session for the embrace of Louise Polini, otherwise known as Songbird. Please note that this session will have trigger warnings that include raised voices, drug use, extortion, gaslighting, manipulation, and allusions to, but no descriptions of, sexual assault and domestic violence. You have been warned. It is December 11th, 2019. It is a cold day in Chicago. But it's warm. At least you remember it being warm where you were. Jazz clubs are always run a little hot. Sure, the AC works its best, but it's easy to work up a sweat in places like this. And the night was rough. And with that, Songbird, give me a rouse check.
1.
Okay. You wake with a startling and a rattling gasp. You feel air fill your lungs and it feels empty. Birdcage. Your eyes fly open wide. And you feel like this burning hunger pull up your throat. There is this unimaginable pain. As you touch the side of your neck, you feel along this jagged wound. You vaguely remember Luca doing this. He was always so... Well, he was sweet on you. Sometimes. All you can focus on is this strange, foreign hunger that is twisting up from your gut. And you can hear shouting. You can hear Luca's voice. You feel there's such a strong pull for you to try and get up and join him and go to him. That you hear a couple of other people shouting. Do you try and get up and go and see what is going on?
Yeah, she's going to sit up. Probably find like a robe or something to cover herself up.
Mhm.
And not go outside right away, but at least just like listen to the door.
Okay. Roll me a wits and awareness. You are at Hunger 5.
Hunger 5. Oh no, that's all hunger dice. No successes. It's not a bestial though.
That's good. You don't really get much of the conversation, but you know anger when you hear it. You hear The stomping of feet and the slamming of the door shut. And what is the last thing that she hears being shouted?
Male voice that Songbird would hear would be, "Fucking hell, Luca, don't walk away from us. Get back here and clean up your goddamn mess."
And she'd probably hear a woman's voice, like, supporting what the man is saying. You heard him, Luca. Get back here. You know better than this, and you know that this is yours to deal with.
There doesn't seem to be a response. The door is just slammed shut.
She's going to test the knob and try to open it cautiously.
You two hear the door creak open. And you glance back. And you see that favored blood doll of your sire peeking out.
Gavin will
Rose.
look over at... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go.
Gavin will look over his shoulder and see Songbird. Looks over at Rosemary. It's kind of makes a motion like...
Rosemary will look over and see Songbird and just sort of let out an unnecessary sigh and walk over to her. Are you okay? You're probably not okay, but okay for the circumstances?
I mean, it's not uncommon for him to, or Sir, to be angry and for it to get a little messy. I'm just really hungry.
I'm sure you are.
And she'll keep her eyes down, like purposely not making eye contact with anyone like she's been told to do.
No, none of that. Head up. You hold it high.
And she'll do that.
Gavin will
You
take his...
You go.
Gavin is just going to take his hat off and he's very slowly going to approach where the two of them are talking. Just kind of be very silent in his approach, not being alarming or threatening at this point.
You hold your head up high now. We're gonna have. She's gonna look over to Gavin. She needs to eat.
See it in her eyes.
I'm sure there's something in the kitchen I can whip up real quick.
No, sweetie, that ain't gonna work anymore.
You don't realize what's happened, do you?
I mean, the Sir, he was hungry, and I'm assuming it was a bad night, and I remember taking him back to where we go and waking up my neck hurting this time.
Gavin is gonna reach forward and motion towards her hand, like he wants to take it. And take your hand, sweetie.
I don't think he'll be happy with that.
Luca's don't mind what Luca cares or cares not about. He's the one that put us in charge of you anyway. Okay, I'm not gonna hurt you. Luca's gonna be fine with it. Here, give me your hand.
She's going to hesitantly give you her hand.
Gavin's gonna very carefully take your hand, and he's going to take the fingertips and kind of put them against your chest, basically right over where your heart should be. And then he'll just kind of... Can you feel it?
Songbird, as you look down at your hand, you see your knuckles are bruised and bloody. Some part of you knew that he was taking too much, that it hurt too much, that it shouldn't hurt. And you tried to get away. You can feel the raw and ragged pads of your fingers touch the very ripped glass. There is no heartbeat. You feel cold.
Oh. I get it now. And she's just gonna kind of like close the robe around herself a little more.
Gavin will like let go of her hand. There's almost like a moment where he kind of like wants to hug her, but he just kind of takes his hands away, and he'll like stare back at the door that Luca stormed out of, and he'll just let out a growl. And then he'll look over at Rosemary. Go find somebody.
I'm on it. And Rosemary will just sort of give a soft glance over to Songbird. I'll be right back, okay? You're safe. She'll head on out to go find somebody for her.
Okay. So as Rosemary steps out, do Songbird and Gavin sit in silence while they wait for her to come back?
Songbird, she's gonna still keep her head up, but she's not gonna say anything unless Gavin starts a conversation.
Gavin is gonna pace around the room a little bit. Not like out of anxiety, but more out of... He paces when he thinks. He'll throw looks at Songbird from time to time. But after a moment or two, he'll make his way over and he says, "You want to get yourself cleaned up a little bit?"
Songbird even contemplating the thought of cleaning right now.
No,
It's not even occurring to you.
not at all.
Gavin, you can see that rampant hunger behind her eyes. She's needs to feed above anything else right now.
Gavin is going to. Gavin will, will stop, find something to lean on. Stand, wall, whatever. And he'll say, I think I've come into the club a couple of times. Listen to you play, listen to you sing. Pretty good. Got some pipes on you. Reminds me of the old days. Back when it was a bit more popular. New art form and all that.
She'll nod. Well, he thought that sound would sell better with my range, and I agree. I mean, it is a fun genre to sing and write for.
You write your own songs?
Sometimes. Usually for trivial things, but
you have to put music to it and lyrics and song. Never trivial.
So as this conversation is going, Rosemary, you go out into the main part of the club because all of this mess has taken place in the dressing rooms and in the back. And they've basically kept it fairly isolated. It doesn't seem to have affected the customer base. And Luca has almost like an iron fist on the security here and how he is able to feed at his leisure within the bounds of this domain. So it is easy enough for you to go out and find someone in the club that seems a little, I wouldn't say, they are alone and you are able to isolate them in a way that you are able to basically tell them that they got a backstage pass or something into and pull them toward the back.
Mm-hmm. Well then, once she's got them secured, she would make their way back towards the room. Just hyping up the opportunity to this individual.
But as they are getting further and further into the back, they start seeing pieces of the mess. They see broken glass, they see pieces of clothes, they see blood. They start to backpedal. And they start to say, nah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. This is
No. It's fine. It's fine. And she's going to try and have him look directly in her eyes and use mesmerize while saying, "You're going to follow me now."
okay. I'm going to need you to roll to rouse. You are on, and I'm going to need you to roll it because this is going to be contested because he
Of
thinks
course.
it's danger.
I get hungrier.
Okay.
So that is manipulation and dominate, right?
Yes, manipulation and done.
Gonna spend a willpower.
Okay.
This is important. That is 5 success.
Excellent. He only got 3.
Nah.
And so as you look him in the eye, your expression goes, I would imagine the smile is still there, but it goes a bit colder as you deliver
Mhm.
this very direct order. Because it's past the point of persuasion and the niceties. This guy is trying to backpedal, and he has seen some of the mess back here. Now that he has seen parts of it, you can't just let him go. He doesn't get to just leave.
No.
He might spread rumors about the club or the stuff that's going on inside of it.
Can't have that.
So as you are bringing him back, you're delivering this command, and he is following you. He has gone into the room, as you have commanded. Are you going to make him stay?
Oh, yes. Stay put.
Okay. Are you going to be using Dominate for that, or are you going to be using another method? Because you now have Gavin and a very young one.
Probably gonna use Dominate again. Just we really want to make sure he stays put.
We'll say that roll goes over the same way that the previous one does.
Okay.
Songbird. Normally your senses wouldn't be this sharp. You don't have these kind of, even as a kindred, you don't have these kind of senses. But you are, because of how hungry you are hyper aware of food sources. You never really considered what could and couldn't be a food source before. Like for a moment, Gavin smelled good. And Rosemary smells good, but you're not sure if that is either how she smells or the perfume she's wearing. But she brings in this guy, this Middle Eastern man that you've seen at your shows a couple of times that kind of just hangs in the back and taps his foot, listening to your music. He can't really seem to afford to get any good seats or get a backstage pass to actually meet you. He likes to drop in. He likes to listen. He seemed like a nice enough guy before. But you will see Rosemary leading him in and giving him very direct, very purposeful orders. And even as he is following them, there is fear in his eyes. There is resistance, but he can't help but follow her orders. He comes in, he stands stock still.
She's gonna pull the robe when she sees Rosemary give the order a little tighter. And kind of wrap her arms around herself.
Rosemary would turn to Songbird. My dear, let's take care of it, okay? She's gonna walk over and hold her hand out. Come on.
Again, she'll be very hesitant to let you touch her, but she will take your hand.
Okay. She'll walk over and she's gonna glance at Gavin and kind of do a head motion like, hey, come on, like to make sure that both of them are like right there.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that, like, as Songbird is being pulled towards you, and with Songbird's back, you will notice that Gavin is actually shifting his coat because he's got like one of those long coats over his suits, and he's opening up, and he's got one of those under harnesses there, and you see him unclip and basically pull out a stake, but
Rosemary
keeping
will
it
nod.
still hidden.
Mm-hmm. All right, you're hungry. You know how Luca has you know what Luca's
I am
done.
aware of
Oh,
what Sir has done. I have been aware of it for a while.
that's what's going to help your hunger, right?
Do I have to do all the beforehand stuff with... I'm sorry, sir, your name?
There is this fearful look between Rosemary and Louise. Muhammad Mursal. And please let me go.
In a moment. No, you don't have to do anything. There's no expectations of you, but you need to. It's dangerous not to.
Gavin will say, "You don't have to do it the way that Luca did it with you, but you definitely do need to satisfy." So, and as for you, my good sir, Gavin's gonna put a very firm hand on Muhammad's shoulder. You gonna keep quiet. You ain't gonna complain. You ain't gonna say a goddamn word. Otherwise, you ain't fucking leaving back here. You get me?
He goes pale. His jaw clenches shut. There's a desperate look to you, Louise. You're able to get him out of this. Then, but he doesn't move.
I... and because she was told to not lower her head, she's really fighting the urge to just let her eyes drop to the floor. I'm really sorry. And she'll walk over to him and take a bite.
Okay. Louise will sink her already lowered fangs into the flesh of his throat. And the warm, the hot taste of tastes better than anything you've ever had. It is water in the desert. It is better than your mom cooked anything that she's ever made you. It is comfort and it is primal. And I need you to roll me a hunger frenzy, please. Your willpower plus a third of your humanity. You are currently at humanity 8.
So that is, where's the chart thing on the sheet? There it is. So that would be 2 humanity, or 2 on top of my willpower?
Yep. Go on top of your willpower.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Okay. You feel the urge to drain him. It is almost all-consuming. But you're able to push it down. You drink. You drink. How much awareness do you think Songbird would have about how this man's feeling while she's drinking from him? Because as she is taking, you recognize that he let out a moan. Because you know for a fact that the kiss feels good. Now you're doing that to someone else. You also know taking too much can hurt them. Even if you're not taking all of it. So would she stop flaking too? Or would she go further and slake 3 hunger?
She will only slake the 2. She doesn't want to hurt this man, knowing how it's gone too far for her in the past. And is wanting to make this as tolerable for him as possible.
Okay. You drink. You drink yourself down to hunger 3. And you manage to pull away that foreign aching hunger. It's still in the back of your throat. It is still very present in your mind. But it is not as overwhelming as it was. As you pull away, you will see that the feeding mark, your fangs, your teeth, are still on his nose.
When she sees the mark, she's gonna rub her neck. And then fight really hard to not drop her eyes. And just kind of like close in on herself a bit.
Rosemary will kind of talk more to Gavin with this. She's a strong one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go get the next one. She's gonna need a little bit more.
Yeah. And
I'll go and
before keep going.
And I'll go deal with this one. I'll send him on his way.
Let me make him forget real fast.
Do you make her lick the wound closed?
She would have done it after seeing the mark. She would have looked at the mark, had the reaction, and then closed it like Luca has done before.
All right. So Rosemary makes him forget.
Yep.
Gavin escorts him out. There's still a very firm grip on that man's shoulder. There is still a waver in his step. Like, as good as that felt, the fear is still there.
Oh yeah. Gavin takes him out back. Has a little conversation with him in the alleyway. Just reminds him very cutely that and he'll like press a lot of 20s in his into his chest to make him go away. And just a reminder, you know.
Okay. And Gavin goes and finds someone else heard of you.
Yep.
All right. Do Rosemary and Songbird have any conversations or anything of the like while he's finding someone else?
Rosemary would um go to sit down and would gesture for Songbird to come sit as well. Noticing that she seems hesitant with physical contact, she's going to try and avoid that as much as possible now, but still wants her to feel as comfortable as possible being nearby.
Is she gesturing as in, like, to offer the seat or as in to command?
She is offering.
She'll think on it for a minute and then go and sit with her.
Your place in this world has changed. You're not just a tool anymore. You understand that?
Is he more upset that he lost control or that he lost? And she's just gonna kind of let the sentence trail off.
He's a coward, and we don't pay heed to cowards. Do you understand who Gavin and I are? Hmm.
I know you're like him. I didn't meet any others while I knew of others. I knew there was a chance there were more here.
Luca embraced us as well. You're our sister. She's gonna have a very direct but very soft look at Songbird. You are our family. This may not have been intentional. We have lost control, but that doesn't make you any less family.
I mean, it isn't the worst outcome that could have happened. And her eyes will start to water a little bit.
Does she
No.
let the tears flow?
She's not gonna let them flow yet.
Okay.
She's holding them back.
Okay.
For now, Rosemary will not point out what colors they are.
Meanwhile, Gavin has managed to isolate a woman in like her mid-30s who's been hanging around the club rather recently. She seems to be wearing, it's not the usual attire for this kind of club. It's also just not very noticeable usually. Sometimes clubs like this have wallflowers. And as Gavin would have been talking to her, he would have noticed something out of her jacket. He would have seen a badge. It's not unusual for Luca's establishments to be investigated. It was a very, very brief glance at one, but he knows what they look like. Would he have continued pulling her toward the back?
Gavin knows that if he pulls the badge into the back, and the badge sees what they do, what's going on, might pull a gun, things will get messy. And Gavin can't really afford that right at this moment in time, even though he knows he can take the badge pretty easily. He's going to drop the hunt at that point.
Okay.
He will.
He's gonna go find someone else.
He will try to go find somebody else if he can.
I mean, there are a lot of people in this club. They've kept this pretty isolated. You make an excuse. You part ways. You find someone pretty quickly. And she actually seems to have been someone that occasionally works here. You've seen her around before. She's pretty nice, but you don't usually talk to her that much. She is one of the local streetwalkers.
Gavin will hone in on that. He's a bit of a looker, handsome, got a nice smile, very charming in his own right. And he will lure her into the back. Promises of, like, hey, the jazz club. You've probably seen you've probably seen some singing, dancing, all this other kind of stuff. And there's always clientele in the back and whatnot. Just kind of a little bit of promise here and there of something good coming of her coming with Gavin.
Yeah, she has been one of the ones that she has been trying to work here more regularly. And as you are bringing her into the back, Louise, you would see Gavin bringing in a woman by the name of Anael Almanza. Someone that is a blood doll, just like you. Y'all have talked before, been around each other before. She's pretty, she's young. And as she looks at you and looks around at Rosemary and then at Gavin, her eyes will go wide. Because you still have the blood on your face. Songbird. You still have it dripping down. You still have it stained down your neck and down your clothes. Even if you're using a robe to cover it up. She dances to the door. Or she can probably feel Gavin's hand at her back. She'll
Yeah.
look around, and she will make herself relax. Oh, I didn't know we were doing this kind of deal tonight. Is the sir okay with this?
Yeah. He's fine with it. Gavin will be very matter-of-factly about it, because even if Luca isn't fine with it, he don't care.
He's gonna be fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Best siblings ever. I think he'll understand because it's been a rough night. And then that's when tears will start to actually flow down her cheeks.
Oh my god, are you sick? Are you okay? Oh my god. I'm gonna call a doctor. It's gonna be okay.
No,
You're crying blood.
and she'll kind of do like one of those, like, and just look at the hand where she just, like, that's now covered in the tear. Oh.
She's fully gone over to Songbird. Just kind of
That's...
pulled out like this mini pack of tissues that she had stuffed in her bra for quick cleanup purposes. Just starts like wiping at her face with them. Sweetie, come on. I got some makeup in my purse. We can clean you right up. It's gonna be okay. She kind of looks at Gavin and Rosemary. Are these friends of yours?
Yeah, we're friends. They kind of saw what happened and have been looking out for me while Sir is taking a walk.
Oh, he got you good. Kind of just gently peers at the side of your neck. That doesn't look like. You see that it seems like she's trying to connect a dot to another dot of. Your wound doesn't look survivable. Gavin and Rosemary would also register this.
Pay it no mind.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you seen him tonight?
I wasn't really around for like the earlier part of the night. I just got in like 2 minutes ago.
Okay. I really need to ask a favor.
Okay, yeah, anything. What's up?
And she's going to, because she's seen Luca do this before with other dolls. She's gonna take her arm, like her wrist, gently and lower her fangs.
Okay. She will let you take her wrist. You will lower your fangs. She gives you a very It looks like there's a very quick moment of understanding. She'll give a nod.
And then once she gets the nod of consent, she will go in for another bite.
Okay. And she slicks 2, right?
Yeah, I'll slick another 2.
Okay. As you are drinking, something feels a little better about this. Something feels a little more right. You're not really sure if it's the way you're doing this or just the fact that it's her. And then you feel something turn in your stomach, and I need you to give me a stamina and resolve.
Okay. Still at 3 hunger, correct? Or do you want that
Yes.
at 1 hunger? Okay. Stamina and resolve. I'll burn the willpower, why not? Mark it, there we go. That is 3 successes.
Good, you met the difficulty. Something lurches in your stomach. Like it wants to reject the blood. Her blood tastes good, yes, but it's not right. You're able to hold it down. You're taking 1 superficial willpower damage.
Okay.
Rosemary and Gavin. Y'all are able to recognize the struggle that comes across her expression. But she's able to hold down the blood. She's ventrue. Its taste is specific. You're not sure what she drinks. Not yet, anyway. It took both of you a lot of trial and error. But you hold it down, you go down to hunger 1, and you have an intense phlegmatic. You lick her wound closed, and she kind of looks over at Rosemary and kind of just holds her hands up. I'm used to this. I know the gig. Pay me and I'll leave.
Yeah, Gavin will pull out another wad of 20s, just put it in her hand. She'll kind of give the girl a pat on her head and says, "Thank you, dear."
She'll tuck the bills away and look over at Louise again. You have my number. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you again. I'm sorry about all of this.
At least you didn't put your hand at my throat. The girl's gotta stick together, Louise. It's okay. She gives you a kiss on the cheek, and then basically sachets out of the room.
Gavin is going to let out a very unnecessary sigh, kind of. Songbird will probably see him like stuff something underneath his jacket and clip something close. Just kind of finds a chair and plops himself in it.
Was that for me or for them? If it went wrong.
No, it's for your goddamn sire. Our goddamn sire.
He doesn't have you two call him, sir?
No.
No.
And I don't think you need to anymore either.
Hold up. Gavin will look over at Rosemary. He'll let out a kind of a wince a little bit, and he says, he's still her sire. Still gotta make sure that she's respectful, follows the rules and stuff like that. You know how
She
Luca
can
can
be
get.
respectful without having to call him sir and play into that old dynamic. I know. She'll like kind of coo at Gavin. I know. And she'll walk over to him.
I don't like it any more than you do. Besides, Luca's gonna make us do most of the heavy lifting off of this anyway.
Which is why I feel like we have more of a say in how all of this can go.
As long as Luca tolerates it. Gotta make sure that we play both sides on this. But we're gonna look out for you, kiddo. I'll look over at you, Songbird.
Yes.
Louise, as you are listening to this comfort, you are finally able to hear yourself in your head again. It is no longer that just constant and overwhelming hunger. The hunger is still there. It is still very foreign and new. But it feels like an extension of yourself rather than something that is inhabiting inside of you that is not. As you look around, you get a bit more clarity to what you are. You look down at yourself. Your clothes outside of the robe you're wearing are shredded. There are very particular areas of your clothing that are ripped. And there is a massive spot near where your shoulder was and neck were that is just pulled and ripped out. That spot is coated in your blood. And as you look up from yourself to look at these, your two new siblings? Question mark? The people that are going to be the ones that are going to help you. You feel that nagging question in the back of your mind. Where's Luca? Luca should be here. Sir would care. Sir always cares. He is always so nearby and so close, and he always knows where you are. Shouldn't he know that you need him right now? Or are you just not good enough for him to be here right now?
I think I want to clean up and go for a walk. If that's okay.
We'll come with you. But yes, get you cleaned up.
Songbird, as you look at your hands, your pallor, you can see your veins. You look fairly recently dead.
Maybe I'll put on some makeup too.
Whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Oh. I can only imagine I look like a zombie right now.
You can fix that. Kind of like how we are. We didn't do this, we'd look like corpses too. You'll figure it out. Think about what it is that you used to look like before all this happened. Think about your heart. Like you want it to start beating again. Get the blood flowing. Purposefully breathe in. Take a deep breath. It'll get it started.
And I would like to blush.
Louise, you would focus on your skin and your hands to force that warmth out of both of your body. Do you pass or do you fail your rouse?
I failed again.
Okay. You would pull on this orin and to fill yourself with that familiar warmth. You would feel it rise up in your throat for a moment. But the color returns to your hands and your skin. And with that, we will fade out of most embrace. And we will come back in 2024. March, probably 9th or 10th. Wait, May. May 10th. And we will be coming back to your introductions. Before we continue, check-ins?
I'm great right now. I achieved my goal in this session.
Okay. It has been a little over 4 years since your embrace.
Bless you.
Thank you. You have been able to figure out what you feed on. You like jazz fans. People that enjoy, just anyone that enjoys jazz. you have been basically, you have become Luca's right hand as far as mortal concerns go. Not with any of the business dealings or have not. You have become his primary executioner. But in all things kindred, in all ways that you have been learned in such ways, Gavin and Rosemary have been commandeering your tutelage. And due to a recent masquerade breach involving a hunter that you lured into the backstage of one of your shows, that you noticed enjoying your songs, that had come back a couple of nights in a row, he escaped. Mess was cleaned up, but there were two choices. You could face final death, or you could leave Chicago. And so you left. And Rosemary and Gavin went with you. And by imitation of hearing of what happened, there was something of a letter sent by the lictor of the New England Directorate. Anastasia Belikova, and more or less invited the three of you to come to Philadelphia to help repopulate the ventrue population. And in return, Gavin sent her a letter in return, and Rosemary sent one to the prince of the area to allow him to know that the three of you were coming to the domain, so that they could present you and themselves and the like. And the first person that Anya would have put the three of you in contact with to meet with was the Primogen and the praetor of the board of directors, Ansel Court. He would be going to meet with y'all at a very particular and true location. In order to formally meet you first, and then continue on to your introductions with the prince. As they are coming in, who would they be meeting?
Ansel Quirky, about 5'11", wiry black, brown hair, fair features in the sense of that he's very handsome. Professional looking suit, kind of like a blue-black sheen to it, almost like a midnight blue. It's got a nice, like one of those really big touch tablets that almost looks more like a computer, kind of folds in on itself. Nice watch, golden golden black onyx. No nonsense sort of appearance. Demeanor is completely cool and calm. He'd be standing already by the time that Rosemary and Gavin and Songbird are brought into the area that they're meeting at. Just kind of standing there watching as they come in. Each person gets scrutinized. But he will look to the eldest of the ventrue that walk into the room first, Rosemary, nod at her. Then he'll acknowledge Gavin with a nod. Then he'll turn and look to Songbird. I hope your trip from the Midwest was uneventful, Miss Rosemary.
Well, not every trip is going to be completely perfect, but I'd say that we handled it quite well.
I appreciate that, Miss Ankler. So, why don't we go ahead and start with informal introductions. I'd like to get to know the new ventrue here in town. Once we're done with that, we'll go and present all of you before the prince. He'll let Rosemary and Gavin go through their introductions. And then he'll turn to look at Rosemary. Or not Rosemary, sorry, Songbird.
She'll give Gavin and Rosemary a look as if to ask for permission.
Rosemary would just sort of nod and make a gesture to.
Gavin will kind of give you that little, like, one of the things that Gavin's been doing over the last 4 years to kind of reassure Songbird is he has this goofy little thumbs up that he does with the pinky because he's, a former surfer. And he will just he'll do one of those very secretly so that only you and Rosemary will see it, and he'll just nod at you approvingly.
And she'll give him a quick little smirk before turning back to the Primogen and bowing her head. My name is Luisa Polini, or Bolene, if you're using the true pronunciation and not the Americanized. And I am of Clan Ventrue, and under the accounting of Rosemary and Gavin.
Smile. I was saying, it's a pleasure to meet you, Louise. Miss Bolini, you said? Is that how it's pronounced?
Bolene, or Polini, is the Americanized.
Bolene. Gotcha.
It translates to little chicken.
He smiles. Interesting. That's alright. Most people call me Quirk, or my last name is Quirk, but it's quirky. It's Irish. But, please, could you recite your lineage for me?
I'm only going to make you sing this once, and it's going to be in front of the prince.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna sing it yet. I was gonna wait for the prince. But you'll
That's fine.
see, she gives Gavin and Rosemary a look, not as if like she's nervous to recite the lineage, but do I have permission to take a moment, kinda like to do her little thing, and we'll wait for their response.
Gavin would nod. It's a typical
Rosemary
thing.
would.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, Gavin would just nod. That's what I was going to say.
Okay. Rosemary would just smile.
I'll recite it, but may I take a moment to do a thing? Permission?
He'll nod.
And she'll still keep her proper poise, but you'll see, like, she'll do, like, the metronome with her finger and, like, do the mental, like, you could see in her head she's going down. And then she'll recite the lineage from ventrue all the way to herself.
Ansel just kind of listen. Doesn't interrupt, doesn't say anything. Just listens. Once you get from ventrue all the way down to yourself, he'll just nod. He'll say, good. We'll be going to see the prince here fairly soon. Prince is eager to meet new denizens of the city, especially since they are ventrue. He is ventrue, like us, so mind your decorum, as you would, in any situation. I will warn you ahead of time that our prince is a practicing Mithraean, and he is currently in the midst of a very spiritual moment. This has manifested in him being rather close to his beast and his hunger, so that he may control it. Do not be afraid, do not be alarmed. Pay him the proper respects and decorum that he is afforded as your prince, and all will go well. Do any of you have any questions before we go to see the prince? Hold on. There are none?
Ansel, you
Shall we
would
get a
see
move on?
her raise a hand, like
Oh.
a nervous student.
Yeah, sorry. My cardigan
Oh.
is blending into the background today.
Yeah, it blended into the background, so I didn't see it. He will acknowledge you with a nod.
Do you want me to remove my weapons before going in?
Actually, out of character, does the prince have a policy on weapons when he's in his presence?
Generally speaking, I'm fairly sure the place that they have is in sanctified Relesia.
In which case, Ansel will answer, due to the grounds that which the prince is meeting us on are Elysia, no weapons are permitted, so you will have to leave them behind.
Understood. And she will reach into her lacy suit, into the boob pocket, and pull out a small golden revolver, empty the chamber, and in one hand hold the bullets, and the other hand hold the revolver.
Some retainer will come by and take that. Gavin is also quickly disarmed at this point, which is like disarming Germany, because he carries a lot of weaponry on him too as well. And including his Thompson, that somehow he hides on him in some way, shape, or form. But once they are divested, Ansel doesn't make comment.
I imagine Rosemary is kind of used to this whole rigmarole of them having to empty themselves of weapons because they've been to Elysium's before.
Yeah, she'll like set her one gun or one stake and just wait for them to be done.
I was advised to not bring the bigger one.
Yeah, the Primogen will just kind of nod and smile, and then he'll just motion that once everybody's been disarmed to follow him.
So, you will follow him, probably get into a very nice, very luxurious car. It's subtle. Doesn't stand out as a luxury car, but if you know the brand, it is a very expensive luxury car. Completely black, and is driven by a retainer to the I keep forgetting the name of this place. It's like an art museum.
The Philadelphia Art Museum.
Yes, Philadelphia Art Museum is where you would be driven to. You would be escorted in up to the door, and as you are approaching, you would see someone standing there who has been expecting you. And Ansel, you would recognize them as the acting sheriff and Bruja Primogen, Annie Sorokin.
Sheriff.
Imogen.
It's good to see you this evening.
Yes, you as well. I see you've got some new arrivals here.
Yes, a new ventrue to introduce to the prince. Is he available?
He's always available for new ventrue.
I did send a letter ahead of time to warn him, but want to make sure nothing has changed.
Well, if you'll come with me, I will peek in and we will make sure. How about that?
Of course, after you, Miss Sorkin. Oh no, sorry, Miss Williams.
Oh, it's Miss Horkin in this one.
Oh, is it Miss Sorkin in this one? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Nope, you're fine. She before she turns, she'll look at both Gavin, Rosemary, and the songbird, and just kind of like doing a visible weapons check and finding everything in order. Will turn around and then kind of go towards the doors.
Okay. You peek in, and John, what does she see when she peeks in, or as she would be leading them?
She would, when she peeks in, she would see the seneschal and the prince looking like they are currently engaged in a minor conversation. The prince is gently blotting at the corners of his mouth with his trademark black handkerchief. So he is clearly less on edge than he normally would be. But it does appear as if the seneschal is fussing a bit.
The seneschal is an 8-foot tall, insectoid-looking person with the 6 arms. And the words, do any of the 3 of them speak Latin? Gavin?
Yeah, Gavin does.
Okay, that's what you would recognize it as, but you do not understand, you do not hear what she is saying. You recognize the inflections.
Yes.
Benny will,
Both of them would be conversing in Latin.
Benny will clear her throat and then just hold up a 4, and then she'll like hold up the middle single finger, which John has probably figured out, who that means.
John will tuck his handkerchief, take his place on the throne, unnecessarily clear his throat, and gesture to Benny that he is as prepared as he is going to be.
Benny will open the door for Ansel and the others and go, Primogen, floor is yours.
Imogen Ansel will sweep in very politely, very matter-of-factly, standing tall, head held high, pride of ventrue and Hardestad in him as he strides forward before his prince. He will approach within the respectful distance to acknowledge the prince, and he will bow very deeply and respectfully. And he will not rise until the prince says to do so, whether that's through the clearing of the throat or says it out loud.
Rise, Primogen.
Ansel will rise up. Your Grace, I'd like to present to you some newcomers to the city. I've written you a letter informing you of their arrival.
The newcomers from Chicago. I have anticipated their arrival with eagerness.
As have I, my Grace. Allow them to step forward and introduce themselves to you.
Please.
Ansel will then step aside and beckon the 3 to step forward, motioning towards Rosemary and Gavin first, because they're the eldest and need to introduce themselves first before the prince, before Songbird does.
Rosemary would probably be walking ever so slightly in front of Gavin. And walk up to the prince and do a proper bow. Rosemary.
Meanwhile, sorry, just one minor note. While the ventrue are doing their thing, Benny has just moved around and is standing on the other side of John, shotgun plainly in sight, and just silent staring from now on.
Rosemary would do her bow and would just very politely, Rosemary Anker, and would let Gavin answer.
Gavin will step up, bow very respectfully. He's already taken his hat off and kind of holding it underneath his arm. But he would bow and say, Gavin Dressler, Clan Ventrue, sir. And then step aside for Songbird.
Rosemary would follow suit.
She will step up and, fully aware of what she is wearing, she will bow deeply but courteously Luisa Polini, in American, but Polene in the true Italian dialect. Your Grace.
Lenny. Good. You are originally from Chicago, yes? Tell me,
Sure.
child.
Oh.
What is your lineage?
She'll look to Rosemary and Gavin again for that approval.
Gavin will nod, and he will.
Rosemary would smile, just nod.
May I do something that is not traditionally decorum for a moment, Prince?
The prince's eyebrow raises. He scans you over with piercing hazel eyes. The man is clearly not blushed. I will indulge you. Go on.
She'll bow her head again and then do the metronome and mouth it before she goes to speak the lineage. And when she speaks it, it comes out a little bit more sing-songish this time. Sorry, I'm giggling a little too much. Please hold.
Close made chat makes things easier.
It does. And it comes out more song like her entire lineage. Ventrue, Artemis, Orthea, Lysander, Toro, Lodenholt, and then there's Horatio Ballard, and then there's Luca. Wait, no, he was replaced by Rosemary and Gavin, who are now my sires. And then she will go back into that formal decorum.
For a moment, Prince will tent his fingers and look back between Gavin and Rosemary.
Gavin
I-
is complete. Sorry.
So am I correct to assume that you two, conjoined, will be taking care of this child's accounting?
That would be correct. Yes.
Yes, Your Grace.
Is this because her sire is incapable, incapacitated, or dead?
Our sire neglected his duty.
That is a shame. Our clan is only great when we take responsibility for our actions, but it is good to see that there are those remain that are capable of picking up the slack for the deficient. I assume, Miss Polene, that you have been...
Forgive me, you could say Polini if it's easier.
I would rather you feel more at ease addressed in the mother tongue, if that's all right with you.
Of course.
I take it you have been instructed in your traditions?
Of course.
Then tell me, child, what is the second tradition?
Please hold, because Katie brain farted for a second. Louise would have said it word for word. Katie is just... because Songbird is...
As a side note, in our resources channel, we do have...
Yeah, I don't have it up right now. I have her sheet up. And the song.
Okay.
Give me a minute. You gotta open up beta chat, so you have to risk looking at everyone else's comments, but... Taking notes.
Oh, wait, let me pull up beta on the phone. But she would recite it again in that sing-songy kind of way. Why are you being... Come on, phone. There we go. She would sing, trying to be a little bit more decorum than the lineage song. The domain, thy domain, is thine own concern. All others owe thee respect while in it. None may challenge thy word while in thy domain.
Good. Now, and his brow knits. The third tradition, if you please.
And yet again, in sing-songy, the progeny, thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain.
And the fifth, if you would be so kind.
And yet again in song, the hospitality, honor one another's domain. When thou cometh to a foreign city, thou shalt persist thyself to the one who ruleth there. Without the word of acceptance, thou art nothing.
Seems your adopted sires have been diligent in ensuring you have been taught proper etiquette. I will admit it has been outside of my experience to hear one sing their lineage, but it is not without precedent. After all, what were the great songs and poems of the dark medieval, if not an adaptation of such practices? I will grant the three of you hospitality in my city and what domain you can hold. But I wish to speak with your sires for a moment. If there is anything you require of me, Miss Polene, please do not hesitate to call on me. You may utilize any individuals of my court. For example, your primogen, my sheriff, or even, and he will point to the 8-foot-tall individual that stands centered behind the throne, my seneschal, Laranier.
She'll look up and then nod to the seneschal. Of course, Prince. And then we'll look to Rosemary and Gavin. Would you like for me to wait for you outside?
Just for a little bit. We won't be long.
Of course. And she will bow to everyone respectfully and go wait outside.
He looks between the two of you. Embrace not for love, for in my embrace, love grows cold and dies. Do be careful, you two. And before I am mistaken, that is not a threat. That is a piece of advice from an old man who has seen enough.
Rosemary will nod. Your wisdom is appreciated, Your Grace.
Gavin will look confused, but he will nod because Rosemary's agreed. Or said what he says, like, just kind of nods.
Sort of like the pretty boy smile and nod.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very good. Good.
And he clocks the blank auto agreement in Gavin and just cracks just a tiny bit of a smile.
If there is anything you need of me, you need only call. After all, even a king must serve his people.
You honor us, Your Grace.
I will be putting together a little group for some of the fledglings joining the city. I will send you a time and date. You will make sure that your child is present. And we will excuse your sire's failings. Is this amenable?
Of course. We'll make sure she's there. And we will make sure to pick up the slack of our sire.
Will recognize you both as Miss Polini's sire. You've done well. But make no mistake, if he shows his face in my city, it will not end well for him.
And he just pats the shotgun.
But while the three of you reside here, you will have my hospitality and my protection. Now, go and take what comfort you can find this evening. We will be in touch.
Thank you, Your Grace.
Of course.
Rosemary will do a polite bow or starting to turn, but she will wait for Gavin.
Gavin will give his bow and then follow Rosemary out, making sure to follow in line with her. He seems to defer to her a lot on things.
The seneschal will make a slightly impatient sounding series of clicks as they turn.
Just a light, what the hell, and then continue walking.
And
You
there's
know
a
they do things differently in Chicago, Laronier.
Imogen
So the two.
Ansel will.
Go ahead.
Never mind. Go on.
Imogen Ansel will make his graceful exit to giving his respects to the prince, the seneschal, and the sheriff, before walking out with the three new ventrue in the city. And as they are all escorted back into the very nice, very luxurious car, what's on Songbird's mind?
That went better than she thought it was going to.
Mhm.
She is happy that the outfit did not offend, because that was the only clean suit she had. She wonders if the prince liked the song and is now wondering if she should write one for his lineage. If he would permit it. But she is not going to ask right away.
As she is percolating on the prince, thinking about how she would do his, assuming that he is a descendant of Mithras at the moment, she might be able to find a library to find his lineage. That's a later thing. But as she thinks about him and the way he looked, that hunger in his eyes, as his venture decorum dictates, respect is given with eye contact. Do you remember the last time you saw someone else that was that hungry? It was the night of your embrace. That ravenous hunger. And you remember feeling it yourself later that same night.
She'll start to kind of like rub her arm a little bit. And she looks like she wants to say something to Rosemary and Gavin, but she doesn't want to upset them, so she's just gonna look out the window.
Okay. As the thing closes on the car driving off to a temporary haven, till Gavin and Rosemary sit down firmer roots. They probably found a nice place and then had it set up a little bit ahead of time for them to temporarily stay in while they were finding a place. Is there anything else you would like to cover?
We're in the haven now, correct?
Probably. Yes.
Oh. Gav, Mary?
Gavin will just kind of look up from the table. He's probably cleaning his guns right at this moment in time. And it'll just be one of those cleaning a gun, looks up expectantly at Songbird. Yes, sweetums?
Rosemary would go, Tweety Bird.
It's really strong again. It started really getting strong again after looking at the prints. And I really want to go back.
Gavin will kind of look over at Rosemary. And then he'll look back at Songbird. You know, sweetums, we can't do that.
I know.
Prince Jackson was very insistent that you can't come back.
I know.
How strongly are you wanting to go back?
Really bad. And you would see she's kind of like, again, rubbing her arms and like kind of showing similar signs to the day she was embraced when she was wanting to seek out Luca.
Gavin will stand up from the table, kind of putting down his cleaning equipment down. He's got his coat off, so he's just got the white button down. Those kind of sleeves are rolled up to his elbows, and he's got his suspenders on. He'll come over. He will... Is she sitting right now?
No, she would be standing up.
Okay. Gavin's going to come up to her, and he's going to look down. Because I assume Songbird's kind of short.
She tiny.
And he'll say, do you think you need us to put you down for a little while, sweetie? Or do you think you can tough this out for us? So I can make you sleep for a while. Let the time pass. It won't hurt so bad. But I think you're stronger than this. I think you can outlast this. Rosemary and I did it. I know you can too.
She isn't gonna make eye contact with him. There's no way I can see him, right?
Oh, sweet, I'm sorry.
Where did you put the big one? And she'll still kind of holding herself and rubbing her arms and like
He'll
that
point to the
go
leather
with-
duffel.
Yeah.
He'll point towards the leather duffel bag on the couch. What's in there?
And she'll go pull out her big boy and start taking it apart and cleaning it and reassembling it. And she'll continue to do that with that same gun until the feelings subside for the night.
Rosemary will pipe up. Or she'll just sort of glance at Gavin and have kind of not a conflicted look, but a look of, you're not going to like what I have to say. We could replace it with one of us.
Gavin will kind of give Rosemary a look, but he will give that look of like, we should probably talk about this private between the two of us, but he's not going to say anything like against it. He'll just kind of, he's currently like standing behind Songbird at the table as she's cleaning the gun, doing that hovering that he generally likes to do when he's feeling extra protective of Songbird.
Rosemary's sitting on top of the table, kind of leaned back with one leg over the other. I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot. Nothing has to be decided tonight. We can talk about this another night if we need. But if she needs to be able to function without worry, that if she wants to run, and also she's going to have a job to do. Can't necessarily have her go down for too long.
It's true.
It could bide us some time, and we could make a plan.
You two are saying this in earshot, right?
Oh, 100%. Because Rosemary values Songbird being able to know what is going on, at least. So yeah, she's talking just to both of you about this.
You both know you can just order me to stay, right?
Little one, sometimes though, those draws, the things that our beast wants us to do, are far stronger than just the words we can say.
You can't always rely on being quiet, Songbird. As much as I know that you like to be.
And with those words ringing in Songbird's head as she continues to clean the guns, we're going to wrap up the session there. Welcome to Philadelphia, Louise Polini.
Hey.
I will dismiss the bot.